Hello and welcome to Stacy's Infinity Podcast. I am your host, Stacy Cisneros. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is the podcast where we make the woo and all other unconventional things work for you. So today I'd like to talk about a topic that I feel is kind of overlaps between psychology and also spirituality, and that is the 4 levels of awareness or 4 levels of consciousness. And many people have done extrapolations of these categories, and I'll go into that in a bit. But I felt it very important to look at this because of the work I do, especially with infinity healing, and just the fact that whenever we do intention work or whenever we do work to realign ourselves to our highest potential, whenever we do digging work that has to do with bringing out all the negative programs and replacing those negative programs with positive ones, we're always working towards something we desire as being ideal. And I've noticed, and maybe you have as well, when in your journeys, that they all pass through what appear to be levels of consciousness. And these levels of consciousness are big, broad categories of your perspective and how they change over the course of time. So, in general, there are 4 large layers of consciousness. And so the first level being things are happening to me, which is broadly called the victim mode. And the next level up is gotten there by taking some form of responsibility, self-responsibility. So the second level is I make life happen. Life happens by me. And so this is a state that the person, like I said, takes a little bit more responsibility and feels a little bit more in control of their life. The third layer up is life is happening through me. And between levels 2 and 3, a type of surrendering takes place, a surrendering to the universe. So you're still seeing the outside forces as being separate from you, but you are now deciding to cooperate with life. And the fourth level is life is happening as me. So now this oneness that the perspective entails is one where you've integrated the world around you and yourself. So these are 4 levels of consciousness that you're at a certain level of consciousness and other people aren't. When you speak to each other, you're going to bump up against a lot of resistance. They might find you as disconnected or out of touch, depending on your awareness level. And you might find them maybe not as aware of their issues and problems, and you might want to help them out, and they're very stuck in their ways. And I think this is kind of where, we can't all really come together as a collective and solve problems unless we first understand that we're seeing our view of life and the view of ourselves from very different perspectives. So it's really important that we first identify, in general, who the audience or your friends or your family or whoever you're engaging with, speaking to, what level of awareness are they at, and you can kind of listen to what they say. And do they say things that imply that they're powerless? Do they say things that imply that they're pulling themselves up by the bootstraps? And or what level of awareness are they in? And then you could also see what level of awareness you're in, and just kind of be mindful that you might not see eye to eye during, these conversations. But I think these discrepancies, they belie our disagreements and our disconnections with each other, even on a social level. So things like policy and politics, that's why people can't really come to an agreement as to how to fix things, because people are experiencing life very, very differently. Again, economics, people of different income levels, different education backgrounds, different experiences. It can't be all globbed together and be like one big happy family. That doesn't work. And so what I like to think about when I think about these levels of awareness is actually our own psychology, our own spiritual journey, as we take ourselves to believe things that are a little bit more functional about ourselves, a little bit more positive about ourselves, believing things that are a little bit more accurate about ourselves. And that tends to move up these different levels. Now, psychology basically takes you from that level one, that kind of victim mentality, and kind of guides you up to, these things I can control, these things I can't control. So they kind of go from level one to level two. I've seen different business and leadership development programs take you from level two to level three, where level two is kind of like a go-getter, like these things are happening by me, but I need to do this a little bit more easily, so let me just go with the flow, cooperate with life, and cooperate with the people around me, that kind of thing. And then from level 3 to level 4, I've not seen any like institution promote these things, but going from level 3 to level 4, where life is happening through me, to it's happening as me, I think that's more of the domain of things that are more woo-woo and spiritual, because at the very end, you're basically saying, I am the universe, and where do I begin, where do I end? I'm in flow of life. It's an inner harmony, and I guess at the highest levels, it'd be kind of like a state of nirvana, because it's oneness. And at this stage, you have like, instant manifestations, you have instant knowings, things like that. So, yeah, so that's just an overview of the they're referred to as 4 rays of consciousness, but I like thinking about them as 4 levels of awareness. And just to preface, there is a program called Energy Leadership, and it's popularized by a gentleman called Bruce D. Schneider. He has a book on energy leadership. He has actually 7 levels that he describes, where his level 1 is, again, kind of victim mentality, feeling powerless. Level 2, again, there's more energy there, but the person has a little bit more autonomy, and they see things as a win-lose, whereas level 1 is kind of like a lose-lose situation. And in level 2, you have to accomplish things by force. So moving up, we have level 3, which is the person is now taking responsibility for their thoughts and actions, kind of like I described in level 2 just a minute ago. And the idea is that if I win, that's okay, but it doesn't really have any implications about whether you win or lose, and that's kind of the mind frame. Whereas in level 2, it was kind of like there's only win, and there's a win and then there's a lose, kind of like what's that called, zero-sum game. And so moving up, we have like level 4, and that is your win is my win, in which the person is focusing on serving others, but there's still this disconnect. They're focused on fixing and solving problems and prioritizes other people's needs. But like I said, there's still this separation. So his level 5, the idea is we all win or we agree not to play. So the perspective here is that They just don't opt into things that are unjust or unfair. The level 5 perspective sees opportunities everywhere and tends not to judge things as necessarily good or bad. And they inspire others to take ownership of their own issues. And they also focus on self-growth and realigning. And they're not so much fixers because they see opportunities also in the negative. So they're less focused on fixing than, say, like somebody at a level 4 perspective. So level 6, a person here is, the perspective is that everyone always wins. And that's kind of hard to see just because most of us are in a level below this, and we still see a lot of separation and suffering and so forth. But from the perspective of a level 6, losing doesn't really exist because every opportunity is within the challenges. And so this person tends to live their own life in flow, and they're creative and they're visionaries. However, the other levels tend to see them as being very out of touch just because the perspectives are so different. And so level 6 people are usually very excited about their life and very optimistic about their life just because they're able to see and transmute any problems into being opportunities more readily than any of the other levels. And the last level that Mr. Shiner describes is the level 7. And level 7 is pure beingness. It's the I am. And the perspective here is that winning and losing are just illusions. And so at the level 7, you have instantaneous creation, you have instant manifestations. They live life with passion, and they have infinite choices available to them with any situation, whether it's like a good or bad situation. And they're also very perceived as being detached. And this kind of corresponds to the level 4 consciousness I have previously mentioned. So from what I understand, Bruce Schneider also uses these different levels to help train people to interact with other people and to use these different levels in leadership, in that you're able to understand what level everybody's in and use specific language to help motivate or explain things to people in different levels to help them perform better and to help them also grow. So that's how this is being used in the leadership arena. And so, yeah, now I'd like to share a little bit about my experience with these levels of awareness. When we talk about the 4 levels of awareness, the to me, by me, through me, and as me, I have personally experienced the first 3 levels. And the as me, the life is me, I've had brief encounters with that experience in my dreams at nighttime, but they're very brief. And while I understand that life is me, that whole deal, to me it's still very, it can be challenging to integrate sometimes, just because I have a lot of programming about what it means to be the universe, what it means to be God. I know a lot of people have been taught by centuries of religion that saying that you are the universe, you are God, is blasphemous. And so I think a lot of that has to affect the way we see ourselves to begin with. We're trained to see this, separation between you and all that is. And I think now that we're really becoming aware of ourselves and we're really becoming more spiritual in nature, we are, well, I should say we are spiritual in nature. We're just, I think we're focusing a little bit more spiritually. I think now that it's going to become more apparent that yes, we are part of the universe, and yes, we are divine beings. This is going to be the next phase in our spiritual evolution and in our mental evolution. So I think that's pretty exciting. So the other thing I wanted to mention was that as one moves through these different states of awareness, that you could be at a certain level for one area of your life, say like relationships. Like I believe things are happening through me and I'm cooperating with life around me and in the flow. But like with money, I could be like, oh, why is this happening to me? Like you can have all these different levels of awareness within yourself for different areas of your life. And I think that's a great starting point for being aware of, where you are and how we can reframe all that and see what blocks we can remove to help us believe and act in ways that are a little bit more functional than they have been. So that's pretty exciting. So yeah, now I'd like to take a moment now to do an infinity healing meditation to close off the podcast. And I'd like to do it on the topic of increasing our inner awareness. So as always, this meditation is not a substitute for psychological advice or diagnosis or treatment. And I'd also remind you that, it's a meditation. So if you are driving, operating heavy machinery, or doing intensive caretaking, you might want to do this meditation at a different time. Just want to make sure that you're in a safe place where you can focus your attention and not have it drift away. So yeah, if you want to make sure that right now you can get into a comfortable position with your arms and legs uncrossed, we can begin then. So you can be sitting or laying down, and go ahead and set your intention to receive the maximum benefit from the session. And if you're in a safe place, undisturbed, you may close your eyes and take a deep, conscious belly breaths. And I'll take them with you. So starting now, would you like an infinity healing, which is the connecting through your higher self to God's source, universe, the divine, super consciousness, relating to deepening your own inner awareness? Say yes. If there is any part of you that's not able to receive the maximum today, would you like an infinity healing to clear everything in the way of you being able to receive the maximum right now? If so, say yes. If there's a part of you that's not able to let go of the maximum during today's session, would you like an infinity healing to help you let go of the maximum right now? If so, say yes. And as soon as we release it, we are replacing it with what's for our highest good, the highest vibration our bodies can receive. And if there's any part of you that's in the way, interfering with, resisting, sabotaging, or afraid of everything that's available for you today, would you like an infinity healing for your higher self to set all of that aside and to show you what's going on from the highest perspective? If so, say yes. So let's become aware of ourselves within that bigger part. So the light, the source, the super consciousness, the universe, God, the divine, spirit, and visualize a beautiful liquid light pouring down from this part, wherever that is, and it's pouring down to the top of your head, into your neck, into your shoulders and arms, your chest and back, into your belly, in your hips, your thighs and knees, your legs and calves and ankles, your feet. And it's pouring down all this liquid light all the way down through your body, through your feet. It's going down all the way into the ground, down, 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 down into the center of the earth. And you're just breathing in deeply and blowing out, releasing everything that doesn't serve you anymore. So starting now, would you like an infinity healing relating to and downloading what increasing our internal awareness means for you, just say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing, feeling, and being a person who is internally and spiritually aware? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for being one who identifies as being internally and spiritually aware? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for recognizing yourself as being internally and spiritually aware? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing, feeling, and being allowed to move through these different layers of consciousness with ease and grace? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for being permitted to move between these states of consciousness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for permitting yourself to easily move between these levels of consciousness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for being encouraged to move through these levels of consciousness easily? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing, feeling that it's safe to increase our inner awareness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing, feeling it is safe for you personally to increase your inner spiritual awareness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for downloading the definition and integrating and embodying safety and the safety that comes with internal spiritual awareness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing and feeling it is possible to move through these levels of awareness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing and feeling the possibility exists now to move through these levels of awareness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing and feeling that it's possible for you personally to increase your level of awareness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing and feeling you are worthy of moving up the consciousness levels? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing and feeling that you are deserving of increasing your inner consciousness? If so, say yes. Would you like an infinity healing for knowing and feeling you can have these increases in awareness in the highest and best ways with harm to none? If so, say yes. And would you like an infinity healing for clearing any blocks, fears, negative emotions that stop us from experiencing our next level of consciousness? If so, say yes. Okay, to conclude, Source God, Universe, Superconsciousness, the Divine Spirit, deepen these healings, take them to their infinite next levels. Share them with all aspects of ourselves, our children, grandchildren, inner child, parents, ancestors, past lives, parallel lives, simultaneous existences, all space, time, and dimensions. Include in this healing more than we know what to ask for, that this or something greater will happen. We're setting these healings on autopilot with infinite ease and grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and so it is. Okay. So you can gently come out of that meditation, and if you followed along during today's Infinity Healing session and you felt it helped you, I'd love to know about it. And you can email me at infinitelevelhealings@gmail.com. So I hope this podcast today helped you in some way or helped you learn something new today. Yeah, thank you so much again for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care.